Okay, the multiplication of the radicals, more advanced. Now, this can be very tricky. Some of you struggled very heavily with this. Like I said, you take your time with it. It helps if you cover, you can cover this with your hand. Pretend it's not there. First times first. Radical 5 times radical 5 is radical 25. Right? Now you got to do the outer. So you get radical 5 times 4. Now this way you have to be careful. This is not in jail. When you multiply radical 5 and 4 together, it's like you're doing x times 4. What the hell can you write? You can just write 4x. This 4 can't go in jail. He is not going in there. This is not radical 20. This is 4, positive 4 on the outside, right? On the outside, 4 times 1, and then the radical 5 goes along for the ride. Now, done. Him. Used up. So now you got to do inner and outer. Again, put the 1 if it helps you. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. What about the radical 5? It goes along for the ride, right? Negative 3 times radical 5 is negative 3 radical 5s. Now, the very last, negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Now I got to combine them. Oh, I can't combine them yet. I still have a guy in jail. Radical 25 comes out of jail as 5. These are like terms. I can combine them. I have 4 radical 5s, and I lose 3. That leaves me with 1 radical 5. I don't want to write the 1. Then don't write the 1. There's 1 radical 5. The negative 12 is still there. Now, what can you put together here? 5 plus radical 5? These aren't the same creature. This is $5, and this is radical 5. You have $5, you lose $12, you lose 7. What about the radical 5? It goes along for the ride. There's nothing you can do with it. It has to stay there. You're adding radical 5. This is not the same thing. Some of you wrote this down. This is negative 7 times radical 5, but that's not what you have. I did all my multiplying. Once you multiply, at the end, it's all adding and subtracting, right? The multiplication comes first, then you add and subtract the terms that go together. So that's the final answer for the first one. Okay, number 2. Number 2 is much trickier. I think I'm going to try this. So let's see. I'm going to ignore that, and I'm going to do my first. Now, if you want, put a 1 there. 2 times 1 on the outside is 2. Radical 3 times radical 3 is radical 9, right? That's my first. Now I'm going to do my outer. You have 2 times negative 3. Now be careful. 2 on the outside, negative 3 on the outside. Multiply them, you get negative 6. Now, radical 3 times radical 2 makes radical 6. All right? Doing a little color coordination here. Now I'm going to do my inner part. I'm going to do the middles. Positive 1 times positive 1 is positive 1. Write it. Radical 2, radical 3 makes radical 6. And then at the end, positive 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. Radical 2 times radical 2 is radical 4. There we go. Now I'm going to combine everybody. First, I got to take some people out of jail. Radical 9 comes out of jail as 3. Radical 4 comes out of jail as 2. Let me free them first. Now I got to worry about here. They both have a radical 6 part. Some of you just went, whoop, crossed them out. That's not happening. You can't. I mean, if you had, 3x plus 2x, and you're like, oh, x's, cross them out. No, you can't. I mean, you can't do that. You have a radical 6, and someone says, hey, you owe me 6 radical 6s. Well, he's going to take the radical 6 you have, and you owe him 5, right? Positive 1 minus 6 is negative 5. Negative 5 what? Radical 6s. When you add and subtract the creature, you add and subtract the numbers in front. That tells you how many of the creature you have. This tells you that the creature you have. This is what the creature was. So in the front, I do 2 times 3. The minus 5 radical 6, you are stuck with this forever. It ain't going anywhere. At the end, you have 3 times 2, and it's negative. This is not going anywhere. You can't do 6 minus 5. Why? Because this is 5 radical 6. If you had 6 take away 5x, forget about x. You had $6 minus 5 apples. What is this? This is an apple? This is $1? I mean, you can't subtract things that are different from each other, so they don't combine. So all you can hook up this 6 with is this -6 that's there. This dude is stuck. He's got no one else to combine. You already combined the radical 6s. This part's done. You have to do 6 take away 6, which is 0. They cross out, right? 6 minus 6 goes away. So your final answer, you're left with this dude all alone. There's nothing else to combine it with, and you can't simplify it. So you stop there. All right, number 3. This one tripped up a few people. You know, you see the squared and you think, oh, square this, but that's not the way squaring works. Squaring means you multiply something by itself. You know, if you had 5 squared, that means you do 5 times 5. You know, if you had x plus 1 squared, you don't just do x squared plus 1 squared. You would do x plus 1 times x plus 1, right? You multiply it by itself. That's what the second power means. The second power is how many times you multiply it by itself. So twice. You got to multiply it by itself. Now, again, we're going to FOIL. This time, I'm just going to do the fingers. The first and the first. Radical 7 and radical 7 make radical 49, right? First and first. Now I got to do first and outer. Radical 7, right? I have all 1s in front. 1, 1, 1, 1. Radical 7 times radical 3 is radical 21. You multiply the numbers inside. Now I'm going to move on to the inner part of my FOIL rainbow. Again, radical 3 and radical 7 make radical 21. Radical 3 times radical 3 make radical 9. That's all 4 of my first, outer, inner, last. It's all there. Now, radical 49 is 7. Radical 9 is 3. I always like to take them out of jail first. The question is, what the hell do you do with these? Now, I saw some people told me radical 42. They were like, oh, radical 21, radical 21. It's 42. You just add them together. Doesn't work that way. You have one radical 21, and I give you another radical 21. You have 2 radical 21s. When you add and subtract the radicals, go back to that lesson. We did this lesson already. You know, if you had 2 radical 3 plus radical 3, right? There's a 1 there. That would be 3, what? Radical 6? No. Radical 3, this creature doesn't change. You have 2 of that creature and 1 more of that creature. You have 3 of the same creature. Does not change. You have 1 radical 21 and another one makes 2 of the same creature. What you can hook up, though, 7 does not go with this 2. This is 2 radical 21. They are attached. They're joined. This is the 2 radical 21 creature. But you have $7 and $3. That's $10. You can certainly add 7 and 3 together. This doesn't have a radical. This doesn't have a radical. The things without the radical in the front and at the end are going to hook up together. It's the middle part that you have to leave alone and doesn't combine. And you're like, I want to do 10 plus 2. You can do that if you want to get it wrong. Again, this is $10 and this is 2 apples, right? Radical 21 means apple. You can't combine $10 and 2 apples, so you have to stop here. That's your final answer. Number 4. This was probably the hardest one. Very tricky. So again, I'm going to put a 1 just to help me. First term, first term. Again, if it helps you to do that, then do that. 2 times 1 on the outside, 2. Radical 6 and radical 6, radical 36. You take this one thing at a time. Now I have to do first, last. This is what I have fingers for. On the outside, you have 1 and 1, right? There's a 1 there. Put a 1 there. 1 times 1 is 1. Radical 6 and radical 3 make radical 18. Done. Him, pow. Him, pow. Now I got to move to the middle. He's done. Again, cover it with your finger if it helps you. On the outsides, I have a -3 and a 2. That's -6. What's my radical part? 3 times 6. Ah, another 18. Yay! Same. They'll always be the same. It's set up that way. That's why I line them up like this instead of going across. -3 times 1, -3. Radical 3 times radical 3 is radical 9. I have to do 3 times 3 inside the jail. Now I'm ready to start taking people out. Radical 36 comes out of jail as 6. There's already a 2 there. So just take the 6 and hook it up with that 2. I'm going to ignore that. -3 times what? Radical 3? 1, 2, 3. 3 comes out, right? Radical 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just count. That's the number you put. Now the middles. Again, they have the same radical part. So you keep the radical part the same, and you add and subtract the numbers in front. -6 plus 1 is -5. I had a radical 18, and I lost 6 radical 18s, so I owe 5 radical 18s. 2 times 6 is 12. -5 radical 18 goes along for the ride. You got to leave it alone. 3 times 3 is 9, and you're subtracting it. So now, what can I put together? I can put together the number parts. There's a number. There's a number. This dude got a radical, got to leave him alone. Now, 12 minus 9 is 3. I would love to say you're done, because you are done, except that 18 breaks down. Oh, man, really? I have to keep going? Yes, you have to keep going. This 3 is there forever. It will never hook up with this. This is a radical. This does not have a radical with it. This is $3. Leave it the hell alone. You have to break the 18 down with 9 and 2. Again, this 3 just stays there. So what do you do now? Well, the 3 comes out of jail. The 9 comes out of jail as 3. Right? So you split up 18 as 9 and 2. 9 came out of jail as 3. It's now going to multiply with the 5, right? They have to hook up. This is all a product over here. Ignoring that 3, this is all multiplication. So you do 5 times 3, which is -15. That's -5. There you go. It's nasty. This is a lot of work because you ended up with a radical that breaks down. You can't stop here. You get almost full credit if you get this far. This is awesome. But it's just not done because 18 breaks down with 9 and 2. And you always have to put the answers in simplest radical form. If the answer was 4 over 8, that might be the right answer. But you can do better than 4 over 8. You can write 1 over 2, 1/2. So here, it's not that radical 18 is wrong. This is the right number. But you can do better than that. You can split it down into smaller radicals. So if you can break them down, you must. And I'm going to do one more bonus one. Number 5. Now, I wanted very badly to have you guys do this one for a reason. But I knew that this was, doing the first 4 was enough. A lot of people didn't even make it through all 4 of those. This, something times itself. One's a plus, one's a minus. This is a difference of perfect squares. So this is going to come out so nice, but we're going to take our time with this. First guy. 2 times 2. Do this very slow. 2 times 2 is 4. Radical 7 times radical 7 is radical 49. First guy, done. That's the FOIL. Oh, 2 times -3, -6. Radical 7 times radical 3 is radical 21. Done. Stop, move on. I got to do my inner part now. +3 times 2 is +6. Radical 3 and radical 7 is radical 21. Oh, son of a bitch, they're going to cross out. +3 times -3 on the outside. Be very careful, there's a lot of 3s. 3 times 3 outside the jail is 9. Radical 3 and radical 3 make radical 9 inside the jail. So the 3 and the 3 is outside, and you have a 3 and a 3 on the inside. A lot of friggin' 3s there, you gotta be careful. And here's the awesome part. 49 comes out of jail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Square root of 49 is 7, because 7 squared is 49. Check out here. You have 6 radical 21s, and you lose 6 radical 21s. Now you can cross their ass out. If you had 6 apples and you ate 6 apples, guess what? You have nothing. They're gone. You don't have to write a 0 here. -9 times what? Times radical 9. Radical 9 is 3. So in the front, you have a 28. Take away 9 times 3 is 27. Wow, son of a bitch. Check out this answer. It comes out to 1. 28 minus 27 is 1. Wow, all that multiplying, all those terms, and the answer is 1. Foiled it out. The middle's crossed out. Difference of perfect squares. That will always happen. And then you have the number in the front, the number on the end, they hook up together. And just for fun, I'm going to do one more. What the hell? All right, so we'll call this super bonus. A lot of people were struggling very heavily with this in both the 8 and 10 o'clock class. So, I'm going to do just one more. So there's 6 altogether. Like I said in the class, it's much more advanced than what we've done before. And you have to really take your time with these. So if you were struggling, relax. Go through them really slow and careful like I do. Anything that doesn't have a 1, you can put a 1 there. I kind of screwed up. I can't fit it. So again, you do the first, then the outer, then the inner, then the last. So you do 1 times 2 on the outside, and you do radical 5, you get radical 25. That's my first. Now I got to do the outer. So I have a 1 and a negative 1, which is negative 1. Be careful, right? There's a negative there. 5 times 2, right? Radical 5, radical 2 make radical 10. Right? It's negative because of this, right? 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Now I got to go on the inner. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Radical 2, radical 5, radical 10. Right? Multiply the numbers inside. Now, be very careful here. At the end, you have negative 3 times negative 1. That is positive 3, right? A negative times a negative is a positive. 3 times 1 is 3. Now on the inside, radical 2 make radical 4. Very careful with that sign. It's going to screw up the whole thing if you don't do that. Free the jail. You have 2, radical 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take them out of jail. Radical 25 is 5. Now in the middle, I'll hook that up in a minute. Plus 3, radical 4 is 2. Square root of 4 is 2. Now I got to hook these up. They're both radical 10s. Minus 6 and minus 1. Who's minus 5? Be careful with your sign rules. Keep the sign, add the numbers, right? If you lose 6 and you lose another one, you lost 7, right? You owe me 6 radical 10s, and then you owe me 1 more. So you owe me 7 radical 10s, not radical 20. When you add and subtract radicals, keep the radical part the same. Add or subtract the numbers in the front. Here I have to add them and keep the sign. 2 times 5 is 10. Minus 7 radical 10 goes along for the ride. 3 times 2 is 6. Now what can I do? All I can do is put together the 10 and the 6. They don't have radicals, so they combine to make 16. The radical 10, you're stuck with it. You're stuck with that negative 7 radical 10. But you can do 16, take away 7. No, you can't. This is not 16 radical 10. Here's what you can do. You can subtract these. They both have a radical 10. They're the same creature. These are not the same creature, so you can't subtract them. So again, be very careful with this. These are mistakes I see all the time. It's very tempting to put those numbers together. But you have to recognize that these are 2 separate things. This is $16, and this is 7 radical 10s. You can't do nothing with them. All right, so that was the final bonus. It's going to be the last one. So I did 6 altogether. I hope it helps.